You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba, Manitoba's show on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graham Forsyth. Today's edition of Manitoba Show is brought to you by Evolve Green and AETI. I might throw in some other sponsors as well as the show goes along if we need to take some more commercial breaks. But yeah, happy to be back here on this Wednesday morning. It's December 1st, so another month. It's a new month on the calendar here in 2021 as 2021 starts to wrap up here. But to start off this December on Rise and Shine Manitoba, we're going to have a great lineup for you guys. Starting off with our first guest, Harry Siemens, joining the Farm Report to talk about some stuff going on in BC right now with the animals in the water, talking about crop rotations, an outbreak of African swine fever in Germany, and some other stuff as well. So let's run the intro of Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, and bring on the first guest in today's episode, Harry Siemens, after this intro runs of Rise and Shine. And you know what it means, Manitoba. Once this intro rolls, it's time to rise and shine. What a great way to start off today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba with the Farm Report, with the main man himself, Harry Siemens. The Farm Report brought to you by Wolf Enterprises. And Harry, joining the show now on this Wednesday morning. It's December 1st, Harry. The year just keeps rolling by. I know that you said you weren't feeling the greatest the past few days, but you're feeling better today. Great to have you on the show, my friend.
You know what? It's great to be in the show, and I remember or took notice when you said December the 1st. Yesterday, I'm on a group on Facebook called a Cloud Revolution. It's all about taking, your picture has to have clouds on it, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. So I have some friends in the Philippines, and they sent me a 13-year-old girl sent me some pictures, and the pictures were taken on December the 1st, but I posted them on the group on November 30th. So, because you always have to say, when are the pictures taken? Well, yesterday was November 30th here, December the 1st in the Philippines. So I posted the pictures taken on December 1st, November 30th. So give that a shake. But nevertheless, it's great to be back. And, this show and your show and the entire network is going to just continue to grow. And that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's great to have you on as a guest here every week to help us grow, the brand of ASTV here and get the inside knowledge about what's happening here in agriculture, not just in Manitoba, but throughout Canada and throughout other parts of the world. Obviously, snow. It's been falling a lot of times here in Manitoba recently. Talk about, the snow, what effects it's having now on just farming here in Manitoba, especially.
Well, December the 1st, unofficially, it's when farmers kind of hang up the fall harvest, field work, and everything else. December the 1st is when the meetings normally would have begun to figure out all the things that have happened in the last crop year. But because of COVID, we don't have a lot of meetings. But right now, the snow is, as a lot of people say, if they can have their cake and eat it, let's have snow every day, but not too much at one time. But at the same time, we don't look after that. And secondly, the snow, all the moisture we can get is more than important, essential in order for us to have the crop set up for next year. And a lot of farmers were concerned before any of the snow about the subsoil moisture. So even though the snow doesn't add to the subsoil moisture, the subsoil still stays dry. But the snow melts whenever, and there's enough snow and it melts quick enough, there's runoff. And it's the runoff that we want for the potato irrigation storages above ground. Those are water storages. And then we need all the streams and the water ponds, the dugouts that we have. And so many of them were empty. You have cattle out in the pasture and you have a dugout. Well, if there's no water in a dugout, they have to truck it in. And that's been a challenge as well. So, yeah, bring on the snow as much as we can. And most farmers, or a lot of farmers, have snow machines. And so not only do they want snow to put moisture in the soil, they want snow so they can drive their snow machines, just like people in the city as well.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, the more moisture we get, the more it's going to help out, especially potato farmers. And yeah, going to be interesting to see how much snow we get here in December. Most likely going to be quite a bit more. But talking about something that you want to start off the show with, we did start off with talking about the snow, but talking about cropping rotations. What exactly is that? Dive into what exactly that is, why it's so huge right now.
Cropping rotations is a very essential practice that all the farmers practice. Cropping rotations is exactly that, rotating, and it's not good for weeds and for chemical products to work properly. You need to rotate. Ideally, every field should have a different crop on it 3 years in a row. That's what we call that, a 3-year rotation. So just take my brother for an example. Him and his son, Jonathan, Jack is his name, they farm, about 15 or 1,700 acres, and they basically grow 3 crops: canola, soybeans, and wheat. And so that means that they rotate those fields, those crops 3 times in a row. So right now, because of crop prices, there's a WhatsApp group called Canadian Agriculture, and the host, Louise, asked the question, what about your crop rotations for next year? Well, we're only in December the 1st, but most of the farmers have made their cropping plans for 2022 based on what they grew in 2021. They usually have what we call some swing land, right? They can, if there's a new crop that comes on and it looks more promising than something else, well, they'll try a different crop on that swing land. In a lot of cases, it's like a quarter section, which is 160 acres. They'll say, I have this quarter section, I'm going to try something new in that quarter section. And so crop rotation, I know my father, when we started to farm, he made it so sure that we would never grow the same crop back to back. Some do it given it 2 years, but ideally we should be looking at 3 years.
Yeah, and interesting to learn that. Thanks for filling us in on the knowledge of crop and rotations, just how essential it is, of course, to farmers everywhere. Talking about one more thing before we dive into some gruesome stories, as you were talking about with the animals. Talking about the outbreak of the African swine fever in Germany.
Very dreaded disease. When African swine fever hits a country, like Germany or Canada, then the borders automatically get shut for 30 days. Nothing can come in or out as far as any any hogs are concerned, or even pork. So it's devastating to the industry in Germany, and they had a they've had an outbreak before, which has devastated their industry, and they had to move things around. But what happened this last week, a farmer went shooting boars, wild boar in Poland. And the wild boar is the biggest carrier of African swine fever. He went to Poland from Germany, wild boar hunting, came back and brought African swine fever into his barn. And when you have African swine fever, you have to basically euthanize or bring to market. See, African swine fever doesn't affect the pork; it just affects the pig itself, but it doesn't affect the meat. So there's no health danger for human consumption. But in that case, you've got to liquidate all your pigs, kill off the weanlings, and so that you can totally clean out that barn and have it tested later on to see if there's any African swine fever before you put any other pigs in. So basically, you've shut out your own business by 6 months, and that's devastating. And right now in Canada, probably every pig, pork, hog meeting that we have, they talk about African swine fever and to make sure that we keep it out. And then there's also those discussions. What do we do when we get it in Canada? So U.S., Mexico, and Canada, in North America, we do not have African swine fever, knock on wood, as we speak. But it's been Haiti has it, and Dominican Republic has it, and now Germany has it again. China, of course, that's where it's called African swine fever, and it started in Africa, but because China has basically half of the hog population. It was devastating to that industry, and it continues to be. So we're hoping and praying that we can keep that ugly disease from rearing its head here in Manitoba and in Canada.
Yeah, and that's just nuts how, even though it doesn't affect human consumption if you eat it, it's going to affect your animals, and that's going to lead, like you said, business shutting down. And yeah, just knock on wood once again that it does not come to places like Mexico, the US and Canada, where we're living here, Harry. But, talking about another down note here, the animals dying in the water in BC as a result of the floods. Give us an update on that. I know that you said that there could be some pretty gruesome stories that you could share with us here today about that.
Here, I follow a hog group on WhatsApp. I do a Canadian agriculture group, which is mostly cropping. This is a hog group, which is all about hogs. And many of us have seen the flooding in the Fraser Valley. There are a lot of poultry, dairy, and several hog operations in the valley. And this particular individual was there last week, and he's a good friend of mine. I don't want to use his name, and visiting customers. We think we have it tough sometimes, but these guys are in a bad spot, and it continues to rain. And he sent me pictures. One particular finisher barn. This finisher barn had 14,000 hogs in it. And he says, notice, and he sent the picture, notice the water is almost at the top of the door jamb. Needless to say, they all drowned. Wow. 14,000 finisher pigs all drowned in that one barn. And then the next one had to do with, here's an 850 sow farrow to wean unit, all drowned. Wow. And you can go on and on. Drowning is one thing you don't want to happen, but cleaning it up is is just as worse a nightmare, because here you have all this rotting carcasses, and then you have to go in there and clean up, and the water has everything's got to be cleaned. So it's and then he says, in the case of many dairy barns, the cows were in water with their noses above the water, bleating loudly and barely breathing. The guys floated by them on boats and just had to shoot them to put them out of their misery. Wow. And so I just wanted to share that with our viewers, because It's horrendous. And just as an aside, another friend of mine texted this: animal rights people are not the ones helping to save these animals. If they truly cared, they would put aside their differences and help save the animals. And so that's the other thing. PETA, protection of animals, and they tell farmers how badly they treat their animals. And here the animals are being treated this way by nature. Not one animal activist person raised one finger to help one animal gets to safe place in water. So that's really hypocritical, and in my opinion, tells the story that their whole idea of trying to protect the animals is a farce. It's a much bigger issue. So first and foremost, my heart goes to those farmers and people in those communities. And secondly, animals are animals, and they had to suffer, but at least they put them out of their misery quickly.
Yeah, and two things on that. What you just said there, Harry, is just like you said, devastating. Just really nothing you can do. It's just Mother Nature taking its course because of the floods that are happening in BC. But for an organization like PETA, who could potentially help, it seems like they most of the time like to talk the talk, but they won't ever walk the walk. So disappointing there. That, like you said, never raised one finger to help out farmers in this time of need in a place like BC. But finishing off with this farming tip of the week for farmers, hoping that it's a positive one, because we've been talking about a lot of negative today. But what's Harry Siemens' farming tip for farmers on Siemens Says here on this week's edition of Rise and Shine?
Well, it often I've been thinking more and more about the farming tips, and more and more I want to use them also to educate our viewers, because we have a lot of non-farmers that are viewing this. But at the same time, I reminded by my brother, they've incorporated their farm. So on November 26th was his 84th birthday, and he's still farming full time. And he was going to go to Altona because he had to take care of some loose ends at the year end of their farming corporation, because they needed to make, if you're going to buy something, then you buy it before year end so you can use it as a tax deduction on the previous year, right? You try to, if your income becomes too high, you try to forward sell into the next year, but you try to make some expenses. So my tip of today is, when farmers, December 31st is the end of the calendar year. Many farmers at that point come to an end with their business year as well. So when you're going out and making expenses, make sure, number one, you can afford what you're buying. Number two, don't just buy it for the sake of the expense and find out later on you may not have needed it. It's happened. But at the same time, I don't want to make it sound as a negative, because it's really a positive tool that farmers can use. But at the same time, I just wanted to make sure others would understand. So thanks again. And for that, I'm just going to say, and that's Siemens Says, somewhere, sometime, somehow, I will see you again.
Yeah, for sure, Harry. And you talk about how there's a lot of our viewers are non-farmers. It's funny, me asking the questions. I've never farmed a day in my life, so always great to have you on the show here on your segment, the Farm Report, to talk about the things, the big stories that need to be have light shed on them here in agriculture, not only in Manitoba, but in Canada and the rest of the world as well. Harry Siemens here on this edition this week on the Farm Report. Harry, we'll see you again next week here on the report. Until then,
I look forward to it.
Stay safe and have a good one, my friend. Always awesome to start off Rise and Shine Manitoba with the Farm Report, brought to you by Wolf Enterprises, with the main man himself, Harry Siemens. Coming up after the next commercial break, we're going to be having a referee on the show, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy's very own Carson McConnell. Does a lot of great work there with the website and Pilot-Mound getting news releases out on the website. And he's also a referee, like mentioned, and he's going to be joining the show to talk about this upcoming weekend, which is huge in Hockey Manitoba for referees, as it is Thank the Stripes weekend from this Friday, December 3rd to Sunday, December 5th. Carson's going to come on the show here, coming up next on Manitoba's show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, to talk about Thank the Stripes weekend, and as well as just his background in reffing, how he started, and the great things that Hockey Manitoba is doing to raise awareness, to get some recognition on the great referees we have here in Manitoba. You're watching Rise and Shine Manitoba here on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more of Manitoba's show after this commercial break.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance, quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Now on Rise and Shine is referee in the Hockey Manitoba system, Carson McConnell. Carson, Thank the Stripes weekend this weekend, starting on Friday, December 3rd, going all the way till Friday, December 5th. Just talk about, how huge this initiative is for refs everywhere in Hockey Manitoba.
Yeah, no, thanks, Graham, for having me on first. It's very important to show all our younger officials that all the experienced officials and coaches and staff do appreciate them going out on the ice and learning how to officiate hockey. It's definitely not an easy task all the time, but to show them that there's support there. We want them to do well. We want them to succeed. We want them to move up and do higher levels. It's just really important. So Hockey Manitoba has over 1,600 officials, and for us to recognize all of them is very important in a weekend.
Talk about when this initiative exactly started. This is pretty new, I'm assuming. I heard about it first last year, but when exactly did it start?
I'm pretty sure this is Hockey Manitoba's third year doing this program. Last year, I'm not even sure we did get a whole lot in with COVID for it. So no, we just do the social media campaign. So lots of tweets and Facebook posts, and then lots of people do the PR, the in-game announcements, thanking the referees. And I know Pembina Valley Minor Hockey, we send an email to all the presidents to try and have treats and maybe like free skate sharpening, things like that, just to show that we appreciate them and that we want them to come back year after year.
With social media, growing continuously, it being such a technology age nowadays, just talk about how huge social media really plays a part in this whole initiative.
Yeah, it's become a really big thing. So I don't know if Hockey Manitoba has tried to implement referee development committees in all the regions. So like Pembina Valley Minor Hockey, the one that I'm involved with, we've started our own social media pages. So we have a Facebook page, our Twitter page, and Instagram to try and help promote, because there's lots of people that don't know how to get into refereeing or things like that. So we've tried to bump up ours. Westman Stripes also has one. There's also a page for the female officials in Manitoba, just a way to gain awareness and try and build our refereeing community up, as every year we seem to be going down and we're having trouble recruiting referees.
Talk about, where you think that's going to have to change for you guys to, get that recruitment up, get more referees involved in the game wanting to ref out there, because it is truly a thankless job.
Yes, it really is. I know right now in Pembina Valley, I don't even know if we had 20 new referees sign up for this 2021-22 season. So that's a huge problem for us. One thing that we are looking at doing, or that we have done, is we've implemented a mentorship program for our U11s. So we have 2 unexperienced referees can go on the ice with a referee mentor, and it's on ice teaching. So it's just trying to get them comfortable to be able to do the games alone on the ice, which is really exciting for us as a region to try and implement these things to improve officials, but just to allow them to learn and grow as people, learn new experiences, and just how to handle tough situations. We've been pretty lucky so far this year. We haven't had too many major issues, so that's nice. But no, it's definitely important. Recruiting is tough. It's hard to get kids to jump into it. So we're trying different ways to get them through. I know last year we did a power skating kind of camp at the beginning of the year to try and gain officials. So no, it's hard. It's not always a fun job, but once you keep going and you're doing the older age groups, it's a lot more fun.
Talk about yourself as a ref, obviously having plenty of years of experience. Talk about, the journey of how you've become to, be at the level you are now, reffing at the level you do now in hockey.
Yeah, so I started out just like everybody else. I started when I was 12, 13, just in Pilot-Mound here. I did the little kids, so the U7, U9, U11. And the more I did it, the more I enjoyed it. So I started to get the older age groups. And as you work up the ages, people start to notice you. And if you do a good job, and they start to talk about you. So that's kind of happened with me. I started to do the U15s, and then I made my way up. Josh Ginter came out here and we had a good talk, and I started doing the U15 AAAs, and now I'm lining and refereeing the U15 or U18 AAA, so the provincial midget it used to be called, through there. And I'm also lining junior hockey now, mostly in Winkler, but just keep working hard. You can get anywhere with what you do. Just learn from the experienced referees is basically the biggest thing. Just improve, take their advice, and just work hard is all you can ask for.
Yeah, that's a great message for sure. Of course, you starting off as a kid and now working your way up to that, U18 level, to that junior A level even. You think that, that's an inspiration for people out there that they can start in reffing, and it's, if they put in that hard work, they put in that dedication, they can get to a high level of reffing, the type of hockey that a guy like you are reffing at now.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to be able to move up. Just work hard. People will notice you. We can use Amy Martin as an example, that female referee that everyone can see, that she just did her first junior A game at the showcase in Portage, and she's on the IIHF list for officials. So just keep working hard. Anything is possible. Just put your mind to it.
Talking about there's going to be, recognition for these refs getting to, or acknowledged for getting to international/national championships, right? How huge do you think that is, to shed more light on that, just to have more light shed on the refs being in those bigger situations, like at the international level and the national championship levels?
No, it's very important. It's to show everybody that referees do move up and are successful just like players, right? We always see them, oh, they made up to the NHL, oh, they've made it through. So no, it's very important to give them the recognition and support that they deserve, just like a player. Because as we had earlier this year, Justin Johnson moved up to the NHL as a linesman, and it's important for everyone to show support for him. Okay? It's a big jump for him, and we're glad to see him succeed.
Talking about the various officiating resources that are available to the province, how huge those resources is. Speak about them.
Yeah, no, if you ever look at the rule book, it's huge. There's a ton of rules in there. It's almost nearly impossible to remember every single one of them. So as you're going through, you're going to have games where you don't know something that went on. It's easy to look up in the Hockey Canada rule book, which is now all online on apps on your smartphones and devices. So that's one of our biggest resources. Hockey Canada also has pages on their website for officiating, different booklets and little things you can go through to improve. Hockey Winnipeg also does a really good one. Can't remember what they're called now. Winnipeg Hockey Refs or something like that. They have quizzes and things like that go on and to help you practice and learn. And all these development committees, we're all out there to help you succeed. We want you to learn. If you have questions, we always ask you to reach out. We're there to help you. We did the exact same thing when we were in the younger shoes. So, and I guess refereeing isn't always just for younger people too. Like if you're in the mid-age or 20, 30 and you want to get going, come on out. We can always use officials. We're so short. We're starting to have to cancel games in some regions now because we don't have officials. So really, the recruitment is huge. We'd like you to come out, give it a shot, even just for a year, to see if you like it and see if we can change your mind.
Yeah, and that is huge. Like Hockey Manitoba says it in their in their release on their website for this weekend. Thank the Stripes that without officials there is no game. So definitely the more officials that we can get, the better it is for everyone, right? And just with it being such a thankless job, the rewards aren't always the best. With just with some crazy fans out there, crazy parents, maybe players swearing at refs. You never know. But talking about how huge it is going to be for leagues within the province, across the province, doing their job to promote this weekend during this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend coming up.
Yeah, I think it's very important for all the leagues to pitch in and post and do their little gifts and things like that to show that they recognize that without the referees, the third team on the ice, there really would be no game. I think it's very important. I know the MJ usually does a really good job of promoting all their officials on this weekend, which is nice. The U18 AAA. I think everyone just put out their messages, say thank you, even just give them a pat on the back, say that you appreciate them. I know this year we've had trouble, this in Rock Lake Minor Hockey. We have low numbers, so our referees tend to do 4, 5, 6 games a day, which is not ideal. As I know you're usually pretty good for the first 2 or 3, but as you get through 5 and 6, you're pretty tired, and then the yelling starts to get. So that's why I would like to get some new numbers in there to help fix that problem. But back to your question there. Yeah, it's important to show the recognition, show that they care, and that we want to see them succeed, and hopefully move up the ranks and get to those higher levels as well.
Yeah, for sure. And last question before I let you go here, Carson. With this weekend, like you said, this is about the third year that Hockey Manitoba is doing this. How do you hope that this year can be used to grow the respect for officials more? Grow the importance of how much officials mean to the game, and to not only growing the campaign this year, but into the years coming up.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a really good point. This year with the new maltreatment rule coming in, it shows that disrespect towards officials is not accepted at all, which is really important. So any swearing, any racial comments, anything like that will not be tolerated, and you will most likely be suspended for, I'd say, probably a minimum of 3 to 4 games. So it is not accepted. We are people just like everybody else. We're out there doing our job. Yes, we do tend to make mistakes, but that's life. We all make mistakes. Players make mistakes. Goalies make mistakes. Coaches make mistakes, right? So it happens. Just own up to it and carry on with the game. So no, it's very important.
Yeah, for sure. And to your point, people do make mistakes. I mean, this isn't the NHL, right? This is, you can be reffing at, an A3 hockey game, maybe not the highest level. Like, you're out there to allow these kids, allow these players to, have fun and play the game that they love. And I want to thank you, along with, I want to also thank all the other refs for doing what they do out there and making the tireless commitment to be at the rink and allow us to play this great game of hockey for the players out there. I thank the Stripes weekend, of course, starting on Friday, December 3rd, going all the way to December 5th on Sunday. Referee Carson McConnell joining the show to talk about Thank the Stripes weekend here on Rise and Shine. Carson, you take care, and thanks for coming on for doing this.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for having me on. Good luck to all the officials this weekend.
And that was Carson McConnell, a referee in Hockey Manitoba's system here, talking about Thank the Stripes weekend, which is coming up on Friday, starting on this Friday on December 3rd, going all the way until this Sunday on December 5th, of course. Check out Hockey Manitoba on social media for the great promotions that they'll be doing, and any other place that is going to be posting about Thank the Stripes weekend. And my apologies there for leaving that interview up for a little bit longer than it should have been. Yeah, my apologies there. Was caught off guard by just looking at this list. Looking at the CHL players that have been named to the Canadian World Junior Camp. A notable player that didn't make this list, though, however, was Connor Geekie. I thought he might have cracked the camp list this year to attend the World Junior Camp and Team Canada's World Junior Camp, but I guess maybe next year Connor will get that nod. Expected to be a top 10 pick, I believe, this year in the NHL draft, and rightfully so. Like, he's had a phenomenal season so far in the CHL from the last time I checked the stats. So yeah, other than that, congratulations to all of the CHL players and anyone else that's been named from other leagues to Team Canada's World Junior camp. I know that Connor Bedard got named to the camp. Of course, he just continues to amaze people with just the accomplishments that he has. He continues to amaze me, adding this to his list of being a very young player selected to that World Junior Camp, as well as Shane Wright will have a chance to crack this team as well. Winnipeg Jets first round pick, Cole Perfetti, from the 2020 NHL entry draft. I believe that was the year he got drafted 2 seasons ago. He cracked the list. So yeah, there's so much other talent on this Team Canada roster this season. Well, this Team Canada camp roster. So it's going to be exciting once again. The best time of the year for hockey fans come Boxing Day when the puck drops. I believe that's when Canada always opens up the tournament on Boxing Day. I know that they had games on Christmas Day last year, which was kind of interesting to see. They never really do that, but all I know is Boxing Day can't come soon enough here, as well as Christmas Eve and Christmas. Just the 3 best days of the year, in my opinion, all in a row. Get to spend time with family, get to open presents, as well as get to watch the best U20 hockey players from around the world compete for a gold medal. So yeah, coming up after the break, we got another interview for you guys. Gordie Tumilson will be joining the show to talk about the past weekend of games for the Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy Buffaloes. All 3 of their programs were in action: the U15 program, the U17 program, as well as the U18 program. We're also me and Gordie are going to talk about the upcoming week of practice for the 3 teams in the academy, as well as what Gordie will be focusing on working with the goalies this week coming up, as well as the upcoming weekend of games for the U17 male prep Buffaloes and the U18 female prep Buffaloes. That's coming up on this edition of Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, here on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after this commercial break. Coach and marketing director of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, Gordie Tumilson, joining the show this week, this time on Monday evening. Since he is in Winnipeg, the connection is way better there than where we've been doing it the last time where Gordie is connected in Pilot-Mound. Great to have you here on the show, Gordie, once again this week for another edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba, talking about Buffaloes hockey once again.
What better subject in this world can we talk about than Buffaloes hockey? There you go. Thanks, Graham. Always good to be here.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. And, starting off with the positive, we're going to get into the two other teams after, but just the stuff I know is that the U17s played 2 games in Pilot-Mound this past weekend, 2 exhibition games against the Indigenous Sports Academy Eagles, and fared very nicely in those games. 4-3 shootout win on Friday night and a 6-1 win on Saturday in that final game of the weekend. And just to see this U17 team in these games are resilient in both, being down in all parts of the game on Friday, tying it up at 3, sending it to OT, and then it going into a shootout. Talk about that game first off, how nice it was to see the resilience from this Buffaloes team to come back.
Yeah, we've had a rough start here, and we've kind of got over that hump a little bit in terms of worrying about whether somebody scores a goal on us or not. We just keep the kids have learned to just keep pounding back away and get back in the game and get their feet moving and do all those kinds of neat things that they're supposed to do. So good things will happen. And guess what? Good things happen. We got back in the game on Friday. We were down 3-1, I think, and we got it back, and we got it to 3-3 right at the end of the game, and then took care of business in the shootout. So thank you very much. It was kind of nice. We were even down 1-0 in the game on Saturday, and bingo, we just came roaring back. It seemed to wake us up. The score was 5, 6, 7 seconds into the second period, and bingo, it was 6-1 for us at the end of the game. So there you go. Our kids have become resilient to the fact that we get down once in a while. So it's a good sign.
Yeah, and resiliency more in that Friday night game, being down as many times as they were, and then coming back in the third in the last minute to tie up that game and send it to OT, and then, of course, going to a shootout, and then, of course, down 1-0 in that Saturday game and scoring 6 unanswered to win 6-1. But, just how nice it was to see this group respond, of course, playing the Edge and the International Hockey Academy the weekend before both games in Calgary, losing both of those 6-2, getting outshot by a bunch. A lot of those problems seem to solve themselves this weekend for the Buffaloes U17 team.
Well, they did a little bit. I mean, the Indigenous team isn't Edge, and we know that, and they know that, and so we played a more competitive opponent. And our guys took it to them a little bit, especially in the second game. So it's kind of nice to able to play teams that are a little bit more competitive. We're not certainly on the same scale of Edge yet and RHA, but we're getting there. And we made a promise that we'd be a lot better by the time the playoffs showed up. We've got another few months to go for that, and we're getting to be a lot better. And that's the way it is. We got a great coaching staff here. That's the neat part is we got to. And as much as they're sometimes impatient, they're certainly patient, and we keep pounding away at the kids to get this thing right, and in all facets of our game have improved a lot, and there's still lots of room to go. So we're just going to keep plugging away until the important games show up later in the season, and we'll take care of business then, we hope.
Yeah, and one thing that was, interesting was the amount of inactive players for this U17 team this weekend. To see this team, rally around, filling those holes in the lineup and players stepping up. Dmitry Petrenko scoring his first goal in his Buffaloes career. Just how nice it was to see certain players stepping up for the U17s this weekend.
Yeah, the Russian Rocket got himself a goal, and I've just nicknamed him that right now. So there you go. After many other Russian Rockets that have been played. Bure, I think, was the Russian Rocket, wasn't he? Pavel Bure. Anyway, we were short 4 guys, and 1 goalkeeper and 3 other players, and our number 1 D. And a couple of goal-scoring forwards, and our guys took care of business anyway. So the kids got a chance to play a little bit more, and good for them. They stepped up and filled the void, and that's what we look forward to. That's the challenge that every hockey player has. Once you get a chance to play, especially if you're not one of the guys that were considered, the regulars or the stars or the sort of the meat and potatoes guys. Well, we got to get guys up there, and they get your chance. And the kids showed up, and good for them. that bodes well for the future. We always carry a couple of extra guys, which helped us through this a little bit of a mess on the weekend. And all the players showed up and played good. So it'll be tougher decisions for the coaches to who to play and who not to play. But that's a good problem to have, and we rotate the kids pretty fairly, so it'll work itself out.
One last thing about the U17s before we move on to the U15 male program, but talking about Miles Gordon, his parents were in person to watch him play. He got 2 starts, of course. Kane Hodgins out of the lineup in both of those games. But Miles, didn't face a lot of action on Saturday's game, but was very good on every single one of the shots he faced, except for that beautiful goal scored by Indigenous Sports Academy Eagles number 16, Deegan Wapass, to open up the scoring in that game to start off the second period. But, overall, the performance that you saw from Miles Gordon this past weekend.
Well, Miles the thing about Miles is he's steady. He's going to be a steady guy, and we know that. And there's some spectacular in him, but his game for me, and to watching him as long as I've watched him now, is that he's steady as a rock. He's had some sort of softer goal scored in him, and so have all of our goalkeepers early on in the season. But they're starting to come around with playing more steady, being ready, and whatnot. So Miles did what Miles does. He was as steady as a rock once that first flurry in the first game on Friday night got going. And the interesting part was Mom and Dad, we were in the stands together watching the game down from you guys doing your broadcast. And of course, that game goes. We're down 3-2, and we're a little disappointed. The other guys scored through about 7 minutes to go in the third period. Our people came back, scored, and so we kind of said this is like a Hollywood script here. We scripted this thing so we would score with 30 seconds to go to tie it up. We go in and play the 5-minute overtime. Nothing happens there. Well, a lot of things happen, but nobody scores. So we go into the shootout, and Miles stones them, and poke check and does some other stuff. And his dad was jumping up and down. We couldn't have scripted this thing any better for these two people who drove from Chicago, a 2-day trip from Chicago to join us. For the first time, they'd only seen Miles. I hadn't seen Miles play live in 2 years. He played in BC last year, and then he's been playing with us, of course. So it's been a bit of a struggle to get to see him play. So this was absolutely perfect. Then, of course, the game on Saturday, he just took care of business for us, and our guys got going in the second period, and that was it. But so it was a big weekend for Miles. He was pretty happy guy.
Yeah, well, he told me when I interviewed him he wanted to put on a show for Mom and Dad, and he definitely did this past weekend. Moving into the U15s now, what happened for them this past weekend?
Well, we got a win. We got some losses. We got a goalie back that we had hurt. Keane Reed had hurt himself and was kind of struggling to get better, and finally got himself a period in on a game on Sunday. Got him taped properly. Got a better assessment done on him. We worked hard during the week and at our goalie session, and then at his practice on Wednesday morning to sort of really diagnose what his issue was. And so we got him back, and the kids played great one game and they don't play so good the next, and they have a good period. They're we have a young team. We don't have many 15-year-olds. We got more guys that are going to be 15. We got more guys that are going to be 14, come the new year. So we've got a young team. They're pretty small. They're energetic, but some of the heavy hitting that we take some of the games. But we came to play. Pete, our goalkeeper, Pete Moreau, played super for us in 2 of those games and got a win. So at the end of the day, they're learning. I think the big deal was they got to watch the Jets in Calgary play on Saturday night in Calgary. So that was kind of a neat thing, and they brought some Jets some good luck, and we ended up getting a win there. So that was a neat thing, and our Buffaloes bus was parked outside the Scotiabank arena, so we got to get some extra promotion out of our bus. Thank you, Lovell.
That's pretty awesome. Any promotion you can get. We talked before air. Any promotion you can get on the academy is good, and that's just another way of doing it. But the U15s, last time we were trying to do an interview here, they were watching Medicine Hat play against the Winnipeg Ice in the WHL, of course, and to watch the NHL game at the NHL level against the Flames and the Jets. Just talk about what you heard from that experience from them, how much they enjoyed themselves at that game.
Well, I haven't talked to anybody sort of in person because they've just come back, and I was back I guess yesterday or this morning, back into Pilot-Mound. But I know talking to them on the phone, and the guys are just absolutely bubbling. I mean, they get to see an NHL game. We've got kids from everywhere, so we don't necessarily have a lot of Jets fans, but at the end of the trip, it's a really neat experience for them to see. And of course, many of them aspire to be players on that same rink, in 5 or 6 or 7 years from now. So they're hoping to be pro players, like the Jets and Flames are. So it's a big deal for those kids to do that and get to watch guys. And we try to get them to watch one player in particular that they like, so that they get to see what that player does under all the circumstances in a game, and that helps them develop the kind of mental picture of what a hockey player is going to look like, what they're going to look like when they're big guys.
Right. No doubt about it. Got to get them visualizing early, because that could be a good possibility for some players in the academy for sure. You never know. Maybe could get their name called in the NHL draft at some point when that time does come. But, talking about the U18 team now, the female side of things, how they fared this weekend.
Well, we had a good weekend there. We had a win and we had 2 losses, I guess, but and we played some pretty tough competition. The team out of OHA was really strong, even though it was a U17 girls female team. They were really good. I mean, this is they got a big drawing area, and they've been around for a long time, so they've got a good program. They built some U15 program and U17 program, and so they worked themselves up the ladder pretty nicely. We beat, we won a game, and our goalkeeper played really well there, River. In fact, our goalkeepers played, really well in all 3 games. So I can feel good about that. They're giving their teams chances to win or to be close and be in the games and stay in the games. And so that's been nice. And every game that we play, whether we win them or lose them, the kids are learning a little bit more. They're realizing some of the things that the mistakes they're making, the good plays they make. We talk about both of those things, both whether they're forwards, defensemen, or goalies, and we build off of these experiences. And so our teams, this particular team is getting better. We had a couple of injuries as well there, and we didn't have the replacement players to fill in. So we took it on the chin a little bit on the defense side. We were short 2 people. And that didn't help us in that particular way, but other people stepped up and then played hard, and again they're good games to play, and we got to get them to do the same thing this coming weekend. I guess we're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously there's been a lot of struggles for this U18 group this season so far. There's been times where they haven't put out a full consistent 60-minute effort out there, but seems like there's definitely some good things coming along for this team. Just speak about what those things they are improving on, really standing out for them at this point in the season.
Well, I think moving the puck quicker and moving their feet quicker, those kinds of things. I think most of the kids have played maybe AA hockey, and now we're playing AAA hockey and AAA plus hockey. It's it's what academy hockey can be when you get into the really powerful teams. It's it's well beyond AAA at that level. So and so they're kind of catching up with some of that, and so speed is really and that goes with anything. That's what hockey is. And as you move up the ladder, it's skill development, being better at what you do, and being faster and being able to do it faster, and that's really important. So we're getting quicker at moving the puck, better at moving it to, passing is tape to tape rather than tape to skates, and we're getting into open lanes instead of being all clogged up. We're getting around the net to score goals. We're learning to do. They're learning to do a lot of things maybe they didn't have the opportunity at their home programs that they need to be able to do now, because it's a different place. We're playing different hockey, and it's better hockey, and they're sort of catching up. So again, the season seems to be long, and these steps are slow. They're not. There's no quick way to become a lot better. It just takes time, and so they're getting there. Their positioning is better. Team plays way better, so it's just all getting better.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely nice to see those things getting better for sure as the season keeps rolling along. Talking about what the work is going to be like with the goalies, of course, usually when I talk to you, you just got out of your goalie meetings. What's going to be spoken about? What's going to be worked on the most with the goaltenders throughout the academy this week coming up?
Well, we're gonna talk a little bit more about playing the puck, about handling it and doing it, and sort of getting in sync with our defensemen. The season's gone on a little bit further than I particularly like it. Probably the coaches worrying about how what the goalies do with the puck when they get out of the net and try and help out. And we had a number of situations that were fun. Sometimes the fun is a little excruciating for people watching it. But there's a lot of exciting plays. But we're trying to clean up some mistakes, some communication issues that we might have with the defensemen or the wingers, where people are supposed to be when the goalie goes out and gets the puck and tries to make a play or leave it or do this or do that. So that's one thing we're going to do. We last the last time we had our meeting, we talked about winning. And on Friday, we won all 3 games that we played. So I felt really good about that. We didn't quite have the same success the rest of the weekend, but winning's really important, and being in a position to win once we get into the latter part of the hockey games, start the third period and we're tied or down by 1 or up by 1 or whatever the score is, keeping your focus and supporting the team in front of you to win the games. And what do we need to do there? And that's really important. And sometimes we forget that it's not just playing the games. Sometimes we're down by 4, 5, 6 goals, and even though you're still trying, things don't matter quite as much. Well, they start to matter pretty much when you're for the rest of the team when you're close and you're trying to win. So in the game that Miles won 3-1, he had to hang in there until our guys started to get back into the game and catch up, and then all of a sudden, because he stood his ground and the defense stood their ground, et cetera, we were able to come back and then win the hockey game. So these kinds of things are really sort of subject matter that they might not get otherwise, and things that they need to understand. And when they move up the ladder and play for other teams as they get older, we want to make sure that they understand all of the different things that can happen, and how they're going to sort of make the right decisions and make all the right plays when the time comes.
Yeah, for sure. And winning, obviously, something we saw from the academy in some games this past last weekend, for sure. Talking about the week of practice, what you feel like it's going to be looking like for these teams coming up this week.
Well, again, we work on stuff that, and that's the neat part about our coaches are they're able to kind of adjust really quickly as to where the team is at. Head coaches are neat people. Rick, Kyle, and Brad being head coaches in our team, they have a good sense for the players and how the team is molding and forming and where you got to stop gap this and plug a hole up here and do this and do that. And so they adjust practices accordingly. I adjust the goalies to what I think they've got to do into their circumstances because it's going to be different for the most part. And so we're always tweaking this, reminding them of that, changing something, maybe adding something to the game plan. Just reversing the puck as you're going one way in defense and you reverse it, and how do you reverse it, and all the skills and all the little things you got to know how to do that, and how to fake the reverse. I mean, there's a million things that goes on, and on a play, on any one single play, and where the other people have got to be. So yeah, it's fun, and And that's what our coaches will be doing this week to try and get our people completely entrenched in the whole package of hockey.
Yeah, great to hear. You know how fast these coaches can make adjustments on the fly of what they feel their teams need to work on. Speaking of teams, the U17s, of course, will be in action again this weekend coming up. On ASTV Productions as Notre Dame, the Hounds come to town for a 3-game weekend series type of thing. But talk about, not just the U17s, but the games coming up for the U15s and U18s as well.
Well, yeah, the U17s, of course, have got the Hounds, and they're going to be busy with those guys. I mean, the Hounds are really good, so we're gonna find out how good they are and where we fit, as we go into starting in December, and that'll be a challenge for us. But we look forward to that challenge more now than we did at the beginning of the season. We're happy to be in a better position to play these kinds of games. Et cetera, et cetera. Now the U15s, the young guys, they don't have any games this weekend. They've got a weekend off. They've got to sort of rest some bodies and kind of maybe a few of the kids will go home that live close enough to get home on the weekend. The other guys will hang around and they'll help out. They'll sweep floors and clean the glass in the arena, and they'll help with the music, and they'll do all those kinds of things. Because that's what they do. That's what we make the intake shot, shots on goal counts and whatever else we need them to do around the rink. Help with people coming in that are vaccinated and unvaccinated and all those good things. The girls team plays in Winnipeg in a tournament, so they'll be playing at the rink. I think if not at the RHA building, it's certainly the Iceplex again. So there's a lot of hockey going on for them. They'll play, I think, 4 games this weekend against some pretty good competitions. And again, we're learning, and we're obviously hoping for some success. And success doesn't always come in a win, but it comes in for playing hard and keeping games close and competing hard against a better competition. So we're looking forward to some good quality hockey for the two older teams this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. The U18s, of course, like you said, will be in Winnipeg. The U17s will be in action at Blackjack Stewart Arena in Pilot-Mound, Manitoba. ASTV Productions will be covering all 3 of those games Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday morning. And, of course, the U15s, even though there's going to be some players going home, Gordie, if they have a chance, you guys are still going to put them to work and let those guys help out and make them help out. I like the thinking around that. All systems go all the time for the players that stay within the academy when they have some off weekends. Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, joined Rise and Shine Manitoba here on Monday evening this time around. Gordie, when you join me next time here on the show, we'll talk more about the past weekend of games, the upcoming week of practice, the things you'll work on with the goalies, the upcoming games, and maybe get into some marketing next time as well. You have a good one. Take care, Gordie.
Great. Thanks, Grant.
Gordie Tumilson joining the show here on this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba show here, brought to you, of course, by Evolve Green and AETI. Before we take the next commercial break in the show, I'm going to tell you guys about a few things. Of course, like I mentioned, all 3 games from the U17 Buffaloes will be broadcasted on ASTV Productions on Friday, starting then, and then, of course, the Saturday game as well is on Sunday morning to wrap things up at Blackjack Stewart Arena this weekend. You can catch all the action on our website at amateursports.tv, as well as on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, and anywhere else you guys watch our broadcast. Of course, we're going to have some pregame coverage for you guys before all 3 of those games, so be sure to tune in before the game starts, before puck drop hits, to check out the pregame coverage that we'll have. We'll also have interviews between the intermissions, between the first intermission, and also Seth's Inside Scoop as well. a segment that I do on Coffee with Graham every Thursday night, and we do it in between periods. We're going to do it in between the second intermission of all those games this weekend coming up, and we will most likely have a post-game show for you guys as well in those games, as well as showing you guys some highlights as well between periods and at the end of the games, maybe in the pregame as well. But coming up after the commercial break, folks, we're going to finish off this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba with a bang. This week's edition of Graham's Opinion coming up. Stay tuned after the break to find out what I'll be talking about, what I'll be giving my opinion on this week's edition of the segment on Manitoba's show, Rise and Shine Manitoba. I'll be back after this commercial break.
Hello, my name is Loretta Mitchell, owner of Evolve Green. And here at Evolve Green, we take the environment very seriously. We have a 10 kilowatt solar system that offsets our main facility by 75%, as well as maintaining natural prairie on our grounds. Our mission, creating renewables that work for you. I started Evolve Green in 2008 with a passion for the environment and wanting to change my corner of the world. And that remains the same today. Through design, consult, and installation, we provide renewable energy systems and storage integration. Here at Evolve Green, we help Canadians rethink power and storage to help fortify our children's future. To learn more, visit evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba, everybody. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful Wednesday morning up until this point. And for all of you guys that are joining, that are tuning in to this edition of Manitoba's show, I want to thank you guys for supporting ASTV, everything we do here, supporting the show here, Rise and Shine Manitoba. If you do enjoy today's episode, if you've enjoyed the coverage so far, be sure to leave a like or a reaction wherever you guys are watching it. If you're on Facebook, you can leave different types of reactions, leave a comment to give us some feedback as well on, what you enjoyed in today's episode, how you're doing on this Wednesday morning, maybe some stuff you'd like us to add as well. All ears, my ears are open. So, open to suggestions as always to make this show as best as possible. And also share this episode as well. Sharing it goes a long way to driving traffic onto our shows here. This one, Rise and Shine. So share it. It won't only help us, but it will also benefit the great guests, the great programs, just everything we cover here, not only on Rise and Shine Manitoba, but on other shows on the network as well. So the reason I took a bit to come back here after the most recent set of commercial breaks was because I was just trying to get the graphics ready for this edition of Graham's Opinion, which is coming up right now, what I'll be talking about in today's episode is I'm going to go away from not just recapping one game from the Winnipeg Jets. From now on, I'm going to be talking about, trends, what's been happening as of late. Not as much trends in this episode, but I'm going to be talking about the Winnipeg Jets struggles as of late. I'm going to be giving you guys my Eastern and Western final predictions in this upcoming weekend in the CFL. Of course, the Eastern final going between the Toronto Argonauts and Hamilton Tiger Cats, and the Western final going between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And I'm also going to finish off with a rant as well. Stay tuned for later on in the segment for that. But was not able to really get the graphics up for today's edition of Graham's Opinion for the Jets segment that I do here. I put graphics up last week of shot charts and just player charts as well. What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to link them in the description of this episode today for you guys to check out, where to find them. It might be up a bit later. I'm probably going to put them into a document. I'm going to find a way to do that. So if it's not right after the show, it's going to be sometime later today, late in the afternoon. But starting off with the Winnipeg Jets, lots of struggles as of late for Winnipeg. Offensively has been the biggest downfall for this team, just in terms of generating goals. 9 goals in the last 7 games, which is not very good at all, especially with how much talent this Jets team has on the offensive side of things. Some defensemen that can generate some offense as well. But let's talk about it. I'll talk about it here. Where the lack of scoring is coming from starts with our top guns aren't producing right now. The Jets' top guns aren't producing right now. And that goes with a guy like Mark Scheifele, who is relied on so heavily for offense, usually for this Winnipeg Jets team. And he only has 2 goals all season. He has 0 goals, 3 assists in the last 7 games. Kyle Connor, who's been one of the best goal scorers, one of the most productive goal scorers in the NHL this year, only has 2 goals in the last 7 games. Nikolai Ehlers, 2 goals in the last 7 games, and Pierre-Luc Dubois, 2 goals in the last 7 games as well. And throwing this name in here because he is considered a big gun, even though I don't think he's there anymore. But with how much time he's playing, Blake Wheeler has no goals this season, 3 assists in the last 7 games. So definitely the big guns like Scheifele, Connor, Ehlers, PLD, and I guess because he's been considered a big gun, I don't think he is anymore, but I'll throw him in there. Like I said, Blake Wheeler with no goals this season. And that's definitely going to hurt because, yes, you got a guy like Andrew Kopp who has been able to produce this year. Svechnikov has looked solid, in my opinion, when he's been playing top 6 minutes for this team. But other than those guys like a Scheifele, like a Connor, like an Ehlers, like a PLD, when those guys aren't driving the offense, aren't putting up the production, a team's going to struggle. The second thing, the power play for the Jets has been absolutely brutal. 1 for 23 in the last 7 games. They had no power plays against Vancouver. So I guess 6 out of those 7 games they've been on the power play, they've went 1 for 23. And just it starts with just not generating enough traffic in front, having trouble getting to the inside on teams, having trouble moving that puck around in the zone, very stagnant as well. You can see just if you see the shot graphics, like the Jets aren't really getting into those high danger scoring areas. Lots of shots coming from the point, which is great. But when you're unable to get traffic in front, it's going to make it easy for the goaltender to save it. And when you're not able to move it around as well as teams are able to on the power play in this league, if you're not able to make these penalty killers commit, when you get a bit predictable out there as well, just having Blake Wheeler on that power play, doing the same old thing, passing it into the bumper slot for Scheifele, which is great, trying to make a sweet cross ice feed by threading a pass through a player's stick. It gets predictable after a while and it gets a bit old. So the Jets predictable right now on the power play, having trouble getting to the inside, like I said, and just very stagnant and not enough traffic in front. But, going to give a bit of credit to these teams' goaltenders here. the Jets have been snake bitten, and the Edmonton Oilers, Vancouver Canucks, the Penguins, the Blue Jackets, and Arizona in those games that the Jets played, where they outshot these teams, except for in that game against Columbus and Pittsburgh, of course, but outshooting Edmonton, Vancouver, and Arizona. The Jets have run into some hot goaltenders, but at the same time, when you got as much offensive talent as the Winnipeg Jets do, as this team has, you got to find ways to generate more offense. You got to find a way to get into, those gritty areas. You got to get shots in close, which they have, but unable to finish it. Shooting with a purpose, I think, is a huge thing. They've been able to get into the slot area, but once again, you need better net front presence on following up on those rebounds. You need more grit in the O-zone, especially in tight as well. It hasn't been the biggest of the Jets' worries, but I still feel like this team has poor D-zone coverage, too many missed assignments, defensive breakdowns in close, and just getting caught up in the play, and then teams able to come down on this team on, odd man rushes and make this Jets team pay. The PK, I feel like there's been too much running around for the Jets, overly aggressive, and just being really weak in front of their own net as well. I think in that Calgary game, it really showed. There were some opportunities where they left Hellebuck out to dry because of just how lax that penalty kill was, just that coverage on the penalty kill. Too much running around, overly aggressive, like I said. But looking at the forward combinations, and obviously this team has a lot of talent, and obviously you're looking to build chemistry, but these lines right now, I don't understand it. Connor, Scheifele, and Wheeler, yes, they have produced offense for us, but at the same time, you can put other guys with a guy like Connor and Scheifele and Wheeler to maybe make these guys more effective. I'd like to see Wheeler get out of that top six. I don't understand why he's still playing in the top six. I get the guy is recovering from COVID. He's older, but to continuously play him in the top six when he's been on a serious decline throughout the past 2 seasons, why is he getting top 6 minutes when you got a guy like Nikolai Ehlers when he's playing on the third line right now? I know he adds speed to that third line in Lowry and Stastny, but why not put him with guys that can, play with speed like Connor or Dubois or even a Scheifele, because they've looked pretty solid together. I don't get why he got demoted out of the top 6, but Wheeler and Scheifele, playing in top 6 roles. Like, I love Scheifele. Scheifele is a great player. I had him in the top 10 for centers this year. I had him at 10th. No, I had him at 9th. I think he's out of that list now, out of the top 10 at this point in the season because of his production. I get it. He's recovering from COVID too, but when you got a guy like Pierre-Luc Dubois who's able to produce better in that first line role, like, I don't know, like, putting Scheifele, I feel like, on that second line would be a bit better right now, because Pierre-Luc Dubois has earned a spot on that first line this season. And that's what I don't get with Paul Maurice. He talks about how you got to earn your spot in the lineup and, talking about what have you done before. Well, Pierre-Luc Dubois has proven this year that he's been one of our best forwards. He's been arguably our best forward in many of the nights that he's played in. Why are you rewarding guys who are vets like Scheifele and Wheeler by putting them on that top line with a guy like Connor, when I feel like Connor would be better suited with a guy like Dubois, who he looked very good with, and a guy like Ehlers as well, building a speedy line? Like, if Scheifele and Wheeler are struggling, they haven't proven this year that they can play on that top line role. Why are they there? I don't get it. I'd like to see Wheeler move to that third line, but let's be honest, that'll never happen with Maurice as the coach unless he gets pushed from upper management. I'd like to see Connor, Dubois, and Ehlers play on the same line together. I'd like to see Scheifele move down to a line with Kopp and Svechnikov. I like Svechnikov playing in that top 6 role because he's done nothing wrong not to be in that top 6 role this year, at least on the second line. And I don't even know why he was taken out of there in the first place. But at the same time, I don't know why he was switched in for Ehlers, if anybody. Should have been Wheeler. But Jets, a lot to clean up right now. And, just gotta figure out a way to get it done because this team has too much talent. I know it's early on in the season, but if they keep continuing to show these tendencies, could be a long season for the Jets. But as a fan, I'm going to stay optimistic. I'm hoping that this group can get it done, but I will be honest, and I'll say it again, with the line combos that have been shown this year by the Jets, I don't think Maurice is the guy to coach this team to a Stanley Cup. I haven't thought that ever since 2018-19 when that was, the second year of their window there. I feel like Hellebuck has made him look a lot better than he has, having one of the top goaltenders in the league. And, yes, they were doing great this season, but with all this talent, you expect this team, like, players can carry a coach and make them look better. And right now the line combos aren't working, the power play isn't working. It's time to change things up. But let's be honest, Maurice won't get fired because Winnipeg is too loyal. Chipman is too loyal to the guys that he has coaching this team. So, that's going to do it for the Jets talk this week. Now diving into the Western Final and Eastern Final in the CFL. Those finals going this Sunday. And I'm going to start off with the Hamilton Tiger Cats and Toronto Argonauts game. Of course, Toronto having the number 1 seed this season, and Hamilton was the number 2 seed. They're coming off of a 23-12 win over the Montreal Alouettes, which was a huge credit to their defense in that game for allowing them to get it done. Let's go into the keys of the game, what I think these two teams will need to do to have success and win this game, and then I'll give you guys my final verdict, my predictions. So for the Argonauts, 3 things. Get into Mazzoli. Can you fluster him and can you make him make mistakes? Mazzoli has played this team twice this season, but in the last time they played, which was pretty recently, Mazzoli started, he went 22 for 40 through 2 picks and no TDs against the Toronto Argonauts. This offense for Hamilton wasn't able to really get it going until that second quarter, but it was really their defense that won them that game. Mazzoli has to get it going for Hamilton in this game, but I'll get into that a bit more, into Hamilton's strengths, as that is one, or Hamilton's keys to the game. But for the Argos, can you fluster Mazzoli? Can you keep him off balance? Can you make him flustered enough to make him make mistakes? Second point, can the defense continue to bend and not break? This season, it's no doubt that this Toronto Argonauts team gave up, a lot of points against the pass, 114 points allowed, 8.1 points allowed per game, tied most in points and points per game average allowed. They were 29th in sacks against the run. They were tied third least in points given up, and 111.6 yards per game given up, which is third most. And they didn't force a lot of fumbles, and they didn't recover a lot of fumbles as well. 6 fumbles forced, second last in the league this season, and 4 fumbles recovered, which was second last. But, can you, come up big with some turnovers? Can you, be able to hold this Hamilton team to 2-and-outs in this game? That's going to be interesting to see from the Argonauts. And can McLeod Bethel Thompson, the QB for the Argos, be that guy? Bethel Thompson has shown flashes of being a great quarterback this season, but he's also been inconsistent, and I think the stats show that. 10 games played, 2,303 passing yards, which was 6th in the league, 12 TDs, and 11 interceptions, 66.3 completion percentage. Can Bethel Thompson be that guy who can get Ricky Collins Jr. involved, who can get Giddens Jr. involved? Can they get this run game going? It all starts with Bethel Thompson, because he, such a quarterback league, he has to be able to make those clutch throws at clutch times. And then for the Ticats, their keys to the game, I think, is going to be holding this Argos offense. The Argos, in the matchups against them, in that 17-16 win, were able to possess that ball 35 minutes and 5 seconds to Hamilton's 24 minutes and 51 seconds. They put up 421 yards up against Hamilton their defense in that 25-23 win they had earlier on this season. And Hamilton, even though they forced a lot of turnovers, 4 to be exact, in that game against the Owls, 3 fumbles, an interception as well. But Montreal had a lot of yards against them, 410, opposed to Hamilton's 237 on offense last week, and also outpossessed the Tiger Cats 33 minutes 25 seconds to 26 minutes and 35 seconds. Can this Hamilton team force turnovers? They had 4 turnovers, like mentioned last week against the Owls. They were tied first in interceptions all season long with 17. 2 forced fumbles, which was last, but 6 fumbles recovered, which was tied for 6th. And they had 31 sacks, which was 5th. So they can get to the quarterback. They can force interceptions as well. And I think we saw that last weekend when they went up against Montreal and really made it a bad day for Trevor Harris at the QB position for them. That's going to be huge for them. That's defense once again against the Argonauts. And, this offense needs to show up. I think that's probably the biggest point, because this defense for Hamilton will show up. But 12 points scored against the Argos the final time these teams played, 210 yards last week, and got outpossessed 33-25. 33 minutes and 25 seconds to 26 minutes and 35 seconds. And Mazzoli went 18 for 184 yards, 1 TD, no interceptions in that semifinal win against Montreal. So can Mazzoli show up and finally get it done and have a huge game in this playoffs? He didn't show that last week. This offense really can get it going. Can Speedy B step up? Can Don Jackson step up? Guys like Jalen Auckland and Tim White. It's all to be seen. This offense needs to show up if they want a chance to win against the Argos, of course. But the final verdict, I expect this one to be a close one. But in the end, I think defense wins championships. And at this time of the year, especially in Eastern semifinal, and I think the Ticats got exactly that. They got one of the best defenses in the league. If this offense is able to show up, which I feel like they will, I think the Ticats will win this game in a close one, 25-16. Going into the Riders and the Bombers, the Saskatchewan Roughriders coming off of a very entertaining 33-30 win in OT last Sunday against the Calgary Stampeders to punch their ticket to the Western semifinal to play the number 1 team in the league, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Looking at the keys to the game, it's for Saskatchewan. You got to limit the turnovers in this game. They had 4 interceptions. Fajardo threw 4 interceptions against Calgary last week. What happened against Calgary can happen again. This Bombers defense will make them play, as it's been the best defense in almost every single statistical category all season long. You got to play smart against this Bombers team, and you got to score TDs. That's the second point. The only points that the Riders got in 2 matchups against the Bombers where they got whooped back on Labor Day and on in the Banjo Bowl, they only got field goals and they only got a safety. You need to be able to keep the pressure on this Bombers defense all game long, but you also need to be smart. You need to keep that ball on the ground. Use William Powell. Powell has been pretty solid for this Riders team this season, even though he only has 4.4 yards per carry. You look at it, when you give him the rock, he carries the ball a lot of times. Maybe he can try to break down this Bombers D-line. But at the same time, you need to throw in screens there as well, and you need to attack this Bombers defense deep. You really need to, open up the game with your run game, throw some play action in their screens as well and some crossing routes until the Bombers bite, and then, try to go deep on this team, even though it didn't fare too well for Saskatchewan last time. But running the ball, I think, is going to be essential for them to open those things up. And you got to find a way to get to Collaros, get him flustered, make him uncomfortable out there, get on him early. AC Leonard, 11 sacks, led the league, and Jonathan Woodward had 10 sacks. Both were top 2 in the league in that category. They're going to be a huge part of that for Saskatchewan this weekend coming up. But you also need to score in the fourth quarter, something that no team, I believe, has been able to do against the Bombers this season. No. Just kidding. They have been able to do that against the Bombers this season. Or wait, I'm forgetting the stat now. It's some crazy stat about how the Bombers are very good at shutting teams down in the fourth quarter. You need to be able to find a way to score in the fourth quarter because, this Bombers team could very well be up in the fourth. You need to be able to come back. You need to score in the fourth quarter, plain and simple. And for the Bombers, 4 things as well. Just come in prepared. This is no longer a regular season game. This is no longer a meaningless game. It's meaningful now, and they haven't played meaningful games, to be honest, in the last 2 weeks. You could even make the argument ever since they clinched first place because they had nothing to play for anymore. You need to get Collaros in a rhythm early, get him comfortable because ball possession will be huge. Long drives with a purpose, I think, will be huge. And this Riders defense, if I'm not mistaken, just going to that point of Collaros, has to get in a rhythm early. Like, you look at this Riders defense, they gave up the most yards against the pass all season long. Almost the most, second last in points allowed in 132 points a game. So second most points allowed against the pass this season. Collaros being able to get that passing game going early is going to be huge. This Bombers team can run the ball, but looking at it, scoring TDs for the Bombers is going to be huge too. Finishing off drives, can't keep this Riders team around in games. And, long drives leads to wearing the team's defense down, right? So I think that's going to be huge for the Bombers in this game. And the defense needs to come to play. Jefferson and Jeff Coat got to get to Fajardo. These two guys have been monsters for the Bombers once again. Just looking at it this season, like the Willie Jefferson had 7 sacks and 3 forced fumbles. Jeff Coat forced the most fumbles on the team this season with 4 and led the team in sacks with 9. So those guys are going to be huge for the Bombers in this game. Got to get to Fajardo, force Fajardo to make mistakes, make him flustered. He has a tendency to turn that ball over. Saw it last weekend against Calgary. Try to dial up the same game plan and get some pressure like Calgary was doing, getting pressure on Fajardo in that game and set up the team in good field position with turnovers. Like, you look at the Bombers this season, DeAndre Alford, who led the team in 4 picks, is going to be huge, as well as Theatric Nichols, who had 3 interceptions. Those guys are going to be looking to feast, getting some good looks to get interceptions based off the pressure that the Bombers will be looking to force on the Riders. But set the team up in good field position. Give the offense a short field. Should work out well for the Bombers if they're able to do that in this game. And got to get field goals. This offense could stall in this game. That could be a possibility. Castillo needs to be up to the task. He definitely was in the last week that the Bombers played against the Calgary Stampeders. Got to be up to the task again today because special teams, such a huge thing. The Bombers don't have Medlock anymore. It is what it is. Castillo, like I said, needs to be up to the task. But the final verdict, I have a feeling the Bombers could come out slow in this game, just with them having the bye and not really playing a meaningful game in the last little while. But I could see this Riders team getting the first score in this game and going up early. But if the Bombers get settled in and find their rhythm, find their groove, they've been unstoppable all season when they've been able to do that. It just is what it is. Go back and look at the games that they've played when they've been in meaningful games. This has been the most talented team from top to bottom in the league once again this year that has done it before, winning the Grey Cup. The last time that a CFL season happened in 2019. I know I'm a Bombers fan. I've said it many times on the show, but objectively looking at this game, I don't see how the Bombers lose this game if they're able to get into their rhythm, able to execute their game plan against Saskatchewan. I know the games against the Riders have been very, very long time ago now, but I think if the Bombers come in prepared, do the things that I mentioned, I think that the Bombers will be able to get it done. I'm going to go with a Bombers win to punch their ticket to the Grey Cup, 29-13, and I'm predicting a Grey Cup rematch from the last time, the Bombers playing against the Tiger Cats at Hamilton's home field, if Hamilton wins at Tim Hortons Field. And either way, if Hamilton doesn't win, the game is still going to be played at Tim Hortons Field. But that's the matchup I'm rolling with, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats in this year's Grey Cup in Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field. So I'm going to end off with Graham's opinion with the rant today. Going to keep this short. I hear it all the time when I go to hockey rinks, and I don't understand it. This is today's rant. Why it's so useless and stupid. I'll add that word in. Why it's useless and stupid to yell at your kid from the stands to shoot at a minor hockey game. Now, like, you got to think about it. If you're playing out there, if you're a kid playing hockey, you probably can't even hear your parent yelling that, so it's useless to begin with. I'm going to rag on my dad a bit here. I know when he watches hockey, he says to shoot every time when players don't even have the puck on their stick yet, or they just got it on their stick. It's like, give the play some time to develop, man. Like, it's not always going to be 1T, not always going to be a quick shot. That's not how the game works. It's all about situations, what situation you're given out there for you to be able to shoot effectively. And another thing, if you are able to hear your parent, man, it is so annoying. I remember playing back in my day. Well, I'm saying back in my day. I am older now, but back when I was playing minor hockey, competitive hockey, if you can hear your parent, if your parent is loud, it's going to distract you. And that's not helping anybody. So, like, it's useless to tell your kid to shoot because, one, they probably can't hear you. If they can hear you, it's probably going to annoy them. And secondly, like, don't tell your kid to shoot when they just got their puck on their stick. Maybe they don't even, like, I've heard times when they have it below the goal line or they have it on a sharp angle and they tell them to shoot. Like, what is that shot going to do? How is that going to be effective? It's just, I don't understand it. Maybe it's just a reaction, but I'm going to be honest, it's easy not to say shoot, yell it at a hockey game to your kid, because I've watched hockey before. I know I don't have a kid yet, but I've never felt the need to tell anyone to shoot the puck out there. It just doesn't make sense. Let them do their thing. Do your thing by just sitting back and watching the game. Telling your kid to shoot, just so useless. I don't understand it. It's pretty darn stupid to me, but hey, parents have their own way of dealing with things, right? Of watching hockey games. So I guess that's that. This week's edition of Graham's Opinion in the books here on ASTV Productions. And yeah, here on Rise and Shine Manitoba, that's going to do it for today's edition of Manitoba's show here on the network. I've been your host, Graham Forsyth. Thanks for tuning in on this Wednesday morning, everybody. My voice is starting to go there. And I got to tell you guys, the next time you guys will be seeing me will, of course, be next Wednesday morning here on Rise and Shine Manitoba at 10 a.m. Central Time. But I'm going to be without this and this. The beard is coming off today. November is over. I've been growing this thing out, my mustache and my beard, ever since either March or April. So it's been a while. Gonna have to, time to change things up. I'm sick of it. It gets a bit itchy at times, and I'm tired of having to, always scratch it, always, some beard hair falling out. But that might be a bit too much information for you guys. So yeah, next time you guys see me, I'll be clean shaven. Next time you guys can watch this edition, or next time you guys can watch the next edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba, of course, will be next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Time. You can catch it on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, on our website at astvproductions.com or amateursports.tv, or you can also check it out on our Twitter at amateursportstv. Stay tuned on Tuesday night for who the guests will be in next week's edition of the show. Might be posting the guest list a bit earlier on Tuesday next week, but most likely late Tuesday night we'll be posting it just to have that guest list finalized. And stay tuned for that on our social medias, on our Facebook, on our Twitter and on our Instagram at ASTV Productions to see who those guests in next week's edition of Rise and Shine will be. Manitoba show. Stay tuned on Tuesday for that, for who those guests will be. So until then, folks, until next Wednesday, I've been your host, Graham Forsyth, signing off now, wishing you guys a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Stay safe out there. If it's cold out there, wherever you guys are, be sure to stay inside. If you are outside, be sure to bundle up, wear some extra layers because it is getting pretty darn cold out there, especially here in Manitoba. Actually, I think it's pretty nice out today, which is nice, but still, it's going to get cold. Be sure to bundle up. Stay safe out there. Like I said, have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Have a wonderful rest of your week. The weekend's almost here. Friday is in 2 days. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday and weekend, folks. Stay safe out there as well and stay warm this weekend. And until next week on Wednesday, folks, I'll see you then. Graham Forsyth giving you the salute now and peacing out. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.